What's up, guys? Welcome back to another beautiful episode of 𝙄𝙩𝙩𝙚𝙬 podcast. And for this week, I got the one and only, the most talented person in Charleston. Yes, I said it. She ain't gonna let me not say that one. But seriously, thank you for coming on, Alma. I said that right?
Yes.
I said that right. I was making sure. Because we just met.
We literally just met in person the first time, like, what, 30 minutes ago?
Yeah, 30 minutes ago, and then like maybe a week and a half ago we just met. So thank you again for coming on here, especially at a short notice. Yeah. For you guys that's been following 𝙄𝙩𝙩𝙚𝙬 podcast, y'all know I normally don't just like have, you know, people hop on. It's some people that I've known for years, and you know, so this is definitely a new interview. Let's say that.
Let's
for me.
do it. I'm excited.
So I just have to tell my people because a lot of times they think that I'm that dude, but and we were talking about this too. I'm nervous.
We did. We talked about being nervous and having those nerves, but you're not nervous.
No. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm not nervous. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, let's get to it. Let's figure out who you are as a person. So let's start with the stomping grounds. Where are you from?
Oh wow. Nobody's ever asked this before. This is so new to me. This is new territory. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow.
And I was raised in a little town about 40 miles north in Alabama called 𝙄𝙣𝙩𝙚𝙚𝙬𝙚. Wow. 𝙄𝙣𝙩𝙚𝙚, Alabama. Yeah, I think their population is like maybe 4,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big, I did not expect that. See, that's what this interview is. Y'all got to get used to this. Because
I'm from Alabama. I'm not originally from South Carolina.
I can hear the accent a little bit.
But I love it here. I consider the Charleston area the Low Country, specifically my home. It's my stomping ground now. I always missed it. I floated around a bit. But I'm a by birth an Alabama girl.
What was it like growing up in Alabama? Because the people that have kind of been subscribed with me for the last couple months are used to just Charleston.
Sure.
You know, so what's the taste of being in Alabama?
Well, I mean, I've written about it. I've written 2 books, and parts of my self-help book, the first one was Flip, and then the second one is But Who's Gonna Wipe Your... we're gonna get into that one.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
That was a different one. But you know, I mentioned a lot of the reasons that I became a psychotherapist was due to child abuse, and it was due to growing up around drugs and growing up around maladaptive behaviors. And you know, it's interesting for me now doing the work I do, the commonality of that is so mind-blowing that I look back on my childhood and I can compare it to, you know, some of the people that I work with and say, you know, what I dealt with as a child was nothing compared to what a lot of people had to deal with growing up. My parents were always there. I never went hungry. We always had a place to live. You know, as far as I know, the power never got turned off. I don't remember that. But I just, you know, there was a lot of, you know, it was narcissism on my father's part, and the abuse that went along with that.
Was that something, I don't mean to cut you off, but was that something you were battling at like a young age, or was this kind of like growing up like 8 or 9, 10? You know what I'm saying?
It was pervasive throughout. It was a normalized sort of way to grow up, because up until I was in my early 20s, when I was in the military, it was normal for me to think about my childhood the way that I did. And I just assumed that I was less than everybody around me, which is interesting because that's what I see a lot of in my practice, is people feeling insecure and less than confident. And, you know, and I do have to say that where I'm at spiritually in my healing journey, I have no ill effects from that trauma. In fact, I'm grateful for the journey that I've been on. I wouldn't change anything at all. I know for a fact that my childhood trauma has prevented me from getting involved with people who may have actually been abusive to me as an adult, because I would, you know, notice things and behaviors, you know, and like guys that I would go out with. Right. That if they reminded me of my father, I was out. Yeah, I'm out of there.
Definitely. So is that something that you think, like, not saying females, you know, struggle with it every day, but do you think that's something
Daddy issues?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to bring it up, you know, because I feel
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, like
we need to talk about the elephant in the room. We need to peel the onion and speak frankly about these issues, because my job, my role, my purpose in life is to destigmatize the whole aspect of mental health help-seeking behaviors. That's what the Alma Leigh show was originally intended for, was to have conversations with people that you would perceive as having it together, you know, local celebrities, local musicians that would come on the show, and then they would speak, you know, truth about their own struggles, their trauma, and then things that you might not necessarily know about somebody because they're such a wonderful performer and they're so skilled and they're smiling right day. That's the big deception. That's the thing, is that I cannot tell you how if you're watching this, and listen, every single person you meet is going through something. It's not if they're going through something, they are going through something. Everybody is struggling. Life is rife with different struggles and pain to different degrees. And what I do now in my, you know, my networking and my role outside of being a clinical social worker is, you know, creating the ability for people to, you know, feel okay about asking for help, because most people think that, well, I don't need to be hospitalized and I don't need to be on medication, so I really shouldn't ask for help at all. Yeah. And that's not true. We all need support. Right. And even the small amounts, even the low degrees of depression, the low degrees of anxiety need attention, because if you don't do that, then it's just going to get worse. Yeah, I know. You're going to self-medicate. Over periods of time. You're going to go from a half a bottle of wine to a bottle of wine, kind of like where I was just a few short years ago. I'm drinking.
And we're going to dig into that. I do want to talk about that, but let's escalate to middle school and stuff like that. So, like, what was middle school like? Was it kind of the same thing as elementary school? And I just want people to kind of see, like, the progress.
I mean, it was pretty standard, you know, again, using where I'm at now, currently, to compare to, I mean, it was normal bullying stuff. I had good times.
I'm not trying to cut you off, but you're the third interview that said that. Wow, that's crazy.
It's prevalent. Bullying is prevalent.
Definitely middle school. I feel like middle school might be this is crazy doing interviews. I normally don't do this in the middle of it, but I feel like I'm starting to see like a pattern in the middle of it, and I think it's crazy. It's just weird. But so after like dealing with that stuff, what would you suggest to a kid that maybe watches this at like high school level? Like, is there something that you would want to prevent them mentally to deal with that before they get out of high school? You know what I'm saying?
It's interesting because I'm a Gen Xer. I'm gonna be 50 this year, and I think your generation and my son's generation and my daughter's generation, I don't want to assume that you don't have problems, but from where I sit, it feels like you guys are dealing so much better with them. I feel like your generation has a better
hope.
I feel like, and I'm not saying that you don't have the issues altogether. I'm not saying that you're not dealing with the bullying issue or insecurities or lack of confidence. I'm just saying that I'm admiring it.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that millennials, I think that Gen Z, is that the next one?
Yeah, Gen Z.
Yeah. That you guys, because you were born into the internet age, because you've always had to drink from the fast pouring faucet of information, whereas I didn't have that. Right. You know, my peers, we had to fight for
But that's what would make it crazy if somebody went on your Instagram and you're like, you suck or whatever. You're going to probably take it more offensive than we are because we've grown up into social media. Not like that, but I'm just saying as in that realm. And that's why I didn't want to bring up like age and stuff. But like, it's like...
No, I'll be 50.
But it's just like some people aren't as intelligent and smart like you at that age, you know? Because I've met some 50-year-olds that don't know how to even call people. So it's like, when they see someone... You heard about the elderly people getting scammed and stuff.
Oh, like, I've had clients that have been scammed out of hundreds.
You're not getting scammed.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You're not getting scammed though, because your mindset.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
and because I grew up, my father was a scam artist, and so I know what to look for. And so I'm grateful to my father for teaching me those things, albeit in a dysfunctional way.
Right.
I have that skill set. And it's like, I'm not a fool because of where I came from. So I'm grateful for it. It's the full circle. But no, I think that your generation, I think that you guys are doing a better job than my generation. But to that end, I do encourage anyone that if you're struggling to stop for just a moment and step outside of the weird space of feeling judged by your peer group. Because here's the thing, you will be. That's why you don't do it, because you know you will be. Judged by caregivers.
I love this interview.
Family members. It will happen. And I'm not saying that they're bad people. It's just that's a normal knee-jerk response to anything, especially when somebody doesn't have the knowledge or the skills on how to properly handle something. All I'm saying is push past that. Don't worry so much about the invalidation, and don't worry so much about the judgment that you get from the people around you. Ask for help anyway.
Be yourself.
And be yourself.
Just had to add that because I loved everything you just said. That's like just going to stay in my head. Because if you just learn to be yourself and stop looking around for validation or likes or whatever it is you're trying to chase, and just realize that life is really not as hard as it could be if you just make the right decisions.
I like to be liked.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
But I think some people, like you said, our generation is like, we have to be liked.
I like to be liked. But it's important to like yourself.
Yeah, more.
And I'm starting to really do some heavy lifting on pushing that narrative more so in my work now. That's the key. That is the key to all of this, is self-love. And a lot of people don't do that because they're so fearful of that external judgment.
Exactly. I totally agree.
You know what I mean?
I could sit here and talk about this all day.
We could go, I mean...
Yeah, we are though. But so in high school... Oh, my chair.
High school.
Yeah, high school. Did you go to high school in South Carolina?
Alabama.
Or so everything was in Alabama and then you just made the shift. So did you graduate high school?
I did, barely.
Wow.
1991, Aniana High School.
Was that like by choice though? Because some of us go to school and barely we don't want to do school.
I didn't want to do schoolwork.
Is that where you were?
Yeah,
like,
my head was not in the game.
'Cause you're smart.
I didn't think I was. I did not. Again, it's all the markers of trauma, right? So when you exist in a space where if your home life is unsafe or it's chaotic, where you're constantly in an anxious space, I was always just looking for a way out. Yeah. I always wanted to leave.
What are some ways that you've kind of like felt like was the way out? And I'm only just trying to have people relate to you, you know?
Well, the dysfunctional ways out that I chose were, what's the audience here? Is this adults only?
It's, yeah, I guess you could say.
Is it adults only?
Yeah, it is.
Because I can be frank about it. I mean...
We don't have to dig that deep. I just wanted
alcohol.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, and I just wanted people to get a.
Alcohol was my quick go-to medicine to make me feel better in the moment. I found that alcohol, once I drank, I felt just so confident and I felt attractive and I felt talented. Man, I got into karaoke when that was like years after graduation, but a few years after graduation, and that was like I thought I was going to be a singer.
Wow, just off of you from drinking?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a good thing, though, because that means that's boosting up your confidence. But at the same time, whenever you wake up, it's like a rude awakening. And you're like, I'm not going to be Miley Cyrus. Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
So what were you doing in high school, though? Were you doing any extracurricular activithis, or was it just...
I worked.
So you worked?
I worked.
What age? What was your first job?
I was 50. Man, you asked some questions. This is funny. 15. I worked at Little Joe's restaurant on Highway 75 in Aniana, Alabama, and I bussed tables.
Oh, wow.
And that was in 1989. And I quit that job and I went to work for McDonald's. And the McDonald's we had our first McDonald's in December of 1989.
Wow, so you were there?
I was there. I was one of the very first crew members.
Holy cow.
At that McDonald's.
Are you a fast food person now since you've worked there?
Yeah. It's terrible. I do. I go through fast food.
No, I mean, it's all right. It's the world that we live in, too.
It is.
And it's hard to balance. And this is anything, and I'm not trying to say...
I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, there we go. But this isn't your addiction. I don't want to make it seem like that. But we all have just the few addictions. And if you know how to balance and control each ones, then you're living golden, you know? Because life isn't always going to be cherry or... peaceful.
Yeah. Moderation is key in everything. So
I definitely agree. So after high school, I know we kind of already touched on it, but when did you actually push into your careers? Because you do a lot of different things. You do the podcast, you're a psychologist.
Clinical social worker.
There you go.
Psychotherapist.
That's what I meant to say. Yes. Sorry, I just didn't want to say it right.
That's okay. Most people don't know the difference, and so it's.
What is the difference? If you.
So I am a master's level clinician. I have a master's degree from the University of Southern California Yeah, USC.
That's awesome.
Fight on. The Trojans.
So you went to, now I don't mean to change the thing, but you were staying in Cali?
No.
Oh, you did online?
I did the virtual academic
That's
center.
awesome,
I did
though.
walk across the stage though when I graduated.
And you flew all the way there?
I flew all the way there.
Wow,
and then I
what
went
was
to
that like?
Disneyland.
Oh, what?
It was hot. California's hot and crazy traffic.
What,
LA?
Oh, yeah, because June is, or it's like June, right, when graduation
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it was late May.
Because every time I go to LA, it's cold, man. I don't like LA anymore. I've been there like two times.
I'll be going back to LA soon.
When? We're going to June. So.
I haven't been, well, we'll talk about that.
Yep, we don't got to talk about it. So what led you into doing your work? Or actually, could you explain the difference of each two? I cut you off, sorry.
That's okay. So I am a licensed clinical social worker. So I'm master's level, and a psychologist is a doctorate level.
Oh.
So that psychologist does different things.
Yeah,
yes.
that's two different
In the realm of mental health, a psychologist, for instance, so I do more of the treatment. Mm-hmm. Psychologists do like testings, and they do like assessments. Like they would be the one to diagnose somebody like with schizophrenia or like autism spectrum disorder.
ADHD.
I mean, I could in my role, but I don't work at that degree.
What made you choose what you chose? Like, was it just a decision, or was it more of like, I love doing this?
I wanted to have social workers have so much bandwidth, they have so much flexibility that the degree itself is, you can do a lot of different things with an MSW, which is what I have. But there were some roles that I wanted to fill at the DoD, the Department of Defense, and they required an LCSW, and so that was what I put my hooks in, and decided that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back and work for the military.
Did you have to go to school for 4 or 5 years for that?
So after high school, I enlisted in the Air Force, and I was a security police officer for 5.5 years.
Wow.
Got out, came here to South Carolina. Got a job after 9/11 working for the TSA. Worked here in Charleston for the TSA. Yeah,
oh, that's
here.
Awesome.
From 2002 until 2007. Got married to an Army guy, and then we ended up moving all over the world, and decided. Let's see, I finished my bachelor's program in 2008. And I finished my graduate level education in 2014.
Wow.
And finished up
Successful woman right here.
finished my independent license in 2016 and went to work for the DoD in May of 2020. Well, I was already working for the DoD, but I became the director of psychological health.
So everything that you kind of just explained in the last few minutes, like, is that something that, I know you said earlier you'd never wish you would never change, but if you could change something, what is something you would change? Yeah, I told you I was going to pick your brain apart.
Honestly, Marco, I have no regrets.
That's the answer I was waiting.
I
need that.
I really
You should never
really
regret
don't.
anything you do, because what we were talking about before, everything happens for a reason.
Everything happens for a reason. And throughout all of my meditations and my spiritual awakening and my spiritual healing, I'm so grateful for every little issue, everything. And that's not a joke. I'm not being, silly or goofy about that. There was a time in my life where I felt like, I really wish that wouldn't have happened, and I can't get happy, and I'm so depressed, and and life was really rotten for a time. But see, now where I'm at, in this space of gratitude, I look back on those situations and those moments with reverence, because I know for a fact that were it not for having those experiences with my father and with my mother, and I have so much compassion and empathy for the both of them now, that they were boomers. They didn't have access to mental health care.
Right.
My father was hopeless as far as getting any help.
I mean, what would they know?
Right. There's no way they could have gone to get the type of interventions that I was afforded when I was in the military, even though it was forced, after my event, and drinking, So the things that I have had the opportunity to engage in as far as my healing goes, my parents didn't have that. And they made mistakes. They were human beings. All human beings are fallible. And that's a fundamental tenet of my practice. All human beings are worthy.
Right.
There's no such thing as a perfect person, and nobody else can erode your value but you.
Right.
That's it.
I totally agree. We were just talking about that before,
right.
And that's
Absolutely.
something I love praising. I wish I wasn't doing this interview all about you, because I would sit here and talk all about what you're saying, because she is hitting on point.
We'll have him come on the Alma Leigh show.
Yeah, we definitely, and I want to talk about that too. too. Let's actually dig into that. Like, how was that brought about? Was that something that you
karaoke?
Oh.
I moved back here after my divorce. I decided that I needed to start over, and I came back here to South Carolina 3 years ago. And in doing that, I joined some Facebook groups, one of which was a karaoke group, and I met some friends. I found out where's all the karaoke places to go hang out.
So I thought you were joking. You were being serious.
No,
that's awesome.
No, I love karaoke. And then back then too, I was still consuming alcohol, and so I would just go out and go drink and make new friends. And one thing led to another, and I ended up on a podcast called Shawnee After Dark with Sean Dolby and Heather Rogers. And that one interview that we did, because I was talking about my first book, Flip, I had not yet written my second book. This was 3 years ago. That apparently he had so many views on that one that we did a
second one.
Two. No, we did my show.
Oh,
Sean Dolby was one. He's like, we need to do the Alma Leigh show. I was like, yeah, that's a great idea, thinking that we would actually talk about it. No, I got up the next morning and there was a whole blast on social media. He already created the page. He already found us a place to film.
How do you feel about that? Are you grateful for that though? Because some people don't have faith in people like that.
100%.
I wish somebody did that for me, man.
100%. And I it's so funny to me too, looking at the original footage, which is available on YouTube. You can look at it, and you can see how I'm a little bit, kind of not real comfortable in my own skin, but I'm trying, and I'm excited and eager.
Did you know that's something you wanted to do, like do your own
immediately?
Show? Yeah, that's how I felt.
Immediately, out the gate. I knew that this was a great opportunity for me to affect change by the masses. That's the thing about being a clinical social worker too, is I can sit with somebody for 50 minutes and I can reschedule them and then bring in the next client, and then I find that they're very similar in what's going on in their lives.
Do you write that down and stuff like that, or is that something
I take notes.
Okay.
Yeah, I take notes.
Mental note?
Yeah, mental notes, and I sketch it out too, just as reminders. But the thing is, Marco, these are people that would benefit from a huge gathering, like a speaking, like an event,
right? Where
I could, give a message that would be wholly impactful to the same degree as opposed to sitting one at a time. Because that's one thing about me, is I'm an impatient person.
Yeah,
I need to work on my patience, but yeah.
Meditating though. Meditating will get you down to that level. That's kind of how I've learned how to do interviews too, is because whenever I meditate, it's like storing everything in the back of my head. Right. So when I'm asking questions, I got 5 more just sitting in the back, but it's which one I'm going to do, Yeah. So it's storing everything.
So I want you to remember and make a mental note, like in 5 years, when you come back to this interview and you look at this interview, and I'm looking at you, Marco, now, 5 years from now, as you're watching this, I don't want you to beat this guy up, because now you've got it so streamlined now. Right. It's 5 years. It's 2028.
Yeah.
It's 2028, and you're watching. You're thinking, "Oh man, look at how I'm doing."
Right.
You can't beat this guy up.
No.
Because it's 2023, and you're doing a great job. So
anyway, I appreciate that. Seriously,
we're jumping some timelines.
Yeah. No, we are. Yeah. I love it because nobody's ever thought like this on my podcast. I'm sorry, all 52. I love every single one of y'all, but this is my best interview. It's my favorite interview. I'm definitely gonna watch it. So no, for real, like I really appreciate that.
Come back and watch yourself in 5 years.
Yeah, I definitely am.
And, I'll come back in 5 years. How about that?
I just had to tell you, I appreciate you for your time and your wisdom and your genuineness, because I feel like a lot of times people don't really utilize the time they really have, and I think you do. Every moment that I've seen you since I met you about a week ago or so, you're always happy. You're always jolly. Of course, behind the scenes, you're probably not sometimes, but you still portray that.
I'm grateful. So that's the thing.
You do feel like off social media, you're happy like all the time?
All the time.
Because we're never going to just be happy though.
That's the thing. I think that's the difference between you and I.
Yeah.
In where we're at as far as that goes. I get what you're saying. I totally understand it. Do I get frustrated? Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Do I get annoyed? Sure. I get frustrated. I get annoyed. But it doesn't affect my level of gratitude ever. It doesn't affect my... I am a happy person. I choose to be. Happiness is a choice. And you, if you can't be grateful right here and right now in this moment, if you can't find something to, be grateful for, just something so simple, then happiness will always be right outside your reach.
Right, and that's something so simple. Like,
it's so simple.
People will hear that and be like, no, it's
well, once I get
simple.
$1 million, or once I get $20 million. No,
right.
You have to practice that now, because that will never matter if you can't.
Because even if you get it, your 20 is going to be gone in a
You know
day.
what I'm grateful right now for?
What?
Because I'm looking at a superstar.
No, don't say that now, because we're both superstars. So that means I'm looking at one too.
I'm looking at a superstar.
But no, that's just me. I wouldn't even want to be recognized as a superstar. I want to be more of like a mogul, if that makes sense. Like, I really want to help kids.
So I'm looking at a mogul.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate that, because I really want to help kids. That's what all this is for, is so that a kid...
But you'll be a superstar to kids, though.
Yeah, no, that's definitely that's the goal. And more importantly is networking and learning from other people and teaching other people what I learned from other people, you know?
I just, if I can wrap anything up, a final, I don't know how long this is going.
Ma'am. I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 more questions.
You got to love yourself.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself.
And that's
Don't let me leave this room without reminding people to love yourself. And then you can follow me. You can follow I go live sometimes. I get called. I get downloads. I get, inspired. And I'll just turn on my phone when I'm driving and just talk to people live.
Do you feel comfortable standing in front of a camera like that, though?
Oh, yeah.
Like on Live Wise? Some people don't like doing it.
Yeah.
I love it. I do it every day.
I love it.
You have to do it twice a day. Yeah.
I love me. Sometimes I'm wearing my gear, and sometimes I'm not.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes
I've noticed that too. I love that though. But when the time is right.
When I feel called to share something, I don't make it incumbent upon hair and makeup.
Right. You shouldn't.
So.
Yeah. But I see, I've been lost. This is a good interview so far. But I do normally ask too the things you kind of just brought up, which is, I'll start with the first one. Social media. Where can we find you on social media? I
am Alma Leigh, and it's L-E. I can't even spell my name. Listen to that. That's what happens when you get old.
No.
I am Alma Leigh. Leigh. ALMALEIGH. I am Alma Leigh. That is my Instagram. That's my main Instagram. Then I have the Alma Leigh Show, which is my other Instagram. Then you can find me on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook very often because I usually just kind of push everything off of Instagram onto Facebook.
Yeah, same
but
time.
It's Alma Leigh, ALMALEIGH.
Okay.
And then there is my website, which is www.almaleigh.
Which is a beautiful
Surprise!
website. You did a great job with whoever you had do it, because it was awesome. I like going through it, and definitely find everything you need to find, because I was looking through that.
Yeah, I do. And then you can find, I do PowerShop Consulting.
Your books, real quick, before we even get to the last question, I wanted to talk about that. So Flip, and what was the name of that?
Flip from Fear to Love.
So how was that brought about and stuff? And I know it's we don't have to dig too deep on it.
Yeah, they're both self-help books. Flip from Fear to Love is basically a permission slip to help you get out of your own way. It's interesting. The book is about 3 years old now, and there's a lot of timeless philosophies, I think, in my mindset, that'll never change. But there's so much more now to it that, there might be a third book coming. But
do you think that your books are kind of manifesting your life?
Gosh,
speaking it into existence?
100%.
Something I've been hearing a lot, not just
100%. Dr. Wayne Dyer, when he would write a book, he would take a book and he would create a cover. He would print out a cover, and then he would tape it to a book, and he would put that on his desk when he would write. And he would have a physical manifestation of the book that he was writing in front of him.
Whoa.
And I do that too.
That's awesome. So do you think that I'm not trying to sound too deep, but do you think a lot of times when people get that manifestation level, they give up? Because sometimes, alright, so for example, I thought about doing this type of stuff for a long time, but you don't know until you try it and you do it. Do you think that a lot of times people get to that level and they're just something, I'm trying to, it's hard to explain.
I know what you mean. I think I know what you
mean.
mean. I think what you mean is that, do they give up on the specifics? I think that...
Because they could be right there.
I am, exactly.
Right behind the door.
I am living, breathing. Everything that I have ever wanted has manifested.
I love to hear that.
Everything I've ever wanted has manifested. Literally. The thing is, and here's the catch to it, is that you've got to have brain and heart coherence. Like Dr. 𝙄𝙩𝙀𝙚𝙬𝙬 says, your brain and your heart have got to be in coherence together, meaning you've got to think and feel exactly the same. You've got to experience emotionally the end result of what it is you desire here and now, which is why gratitude is so important.
It's very important.
You've got to practice that.
Yes.
So I know what's coming, and I'm preparing for it. Honestly, my gratitude runs so deep here in the moment that I'm just like, do I really want to go there? Right. Because I'm so happy right here. I'm so fulfilled right here. But I also know that I need to do this work in order to, connect with more people and to get onto bigger stages.
Yeah, and help people and really women, you know what I mean? Because you really are a big voice for women, I feel like, and even Charleston.
Trying.
You're doing it. You're doing it. And I think it's cool to even have you take time to hop on here and save people's lives, because that's what this podcast's for. It's not for who you are or how many followers. Thank you. That's I love every day, and I
love what you're doing, by the way. And I think that there's such a deeply rooted common thread in our intention here. And when we connect like that, that just makes the manifestation greater.
Beautiful.
It's faster. It comes to fruition faster. It's all about, everything is a vibration.
We're all on the frequency. Some people are on low frequencies for the rest of their life, and a lot of them are trying to get up to that. That's why I already know. I'm like you said, you know what you have and what you are.
Yeah. And the second book that I wrote, But Who's Gonna Wipe Your Ass?
Yeah, how did you get that name? Like, were you just sitting there?
The interesting thing is that I was already working on a book that was kind of tantamount. Like,
what age? Like, I wanted to ask.
This I just published it a year ago.
Oh, so you waited along? Did you ever thought you would make books, or was this something that you just? I should just make a book.
It just came out. I was inspired to do it. The second one, I was in a session with a 52-year-old man who came to me, was kind of feeling sorry for himself because his second relationship, number 2, Marco, 2, still separated, not even fully divorced from his soon-to-be ex-wife, had been in 2 relationships and was coming to me wanting me to help him get through this so that he could get her back.
Yeah, oh wow.
And I was like, dude, you're not building anything here. And he's like, oh, you don't understand. It's, if you could just do this, or you could show me how to do. I'm like, dude, who's going to wipe your ass?
Yeah.
Like, really?
I love that. That's
really
awesome.
Like, and I do that from a space of love. Yeah. But sometimes we need our asses kicked.
We do. And
a little bit. We need to be challenged outside of our mindset to crack that shell, that egotistical veneer that a lot of us get stuck in, that keeps you stagnant from your own growth.
Whole life.
Yeah. So that's where the book came from, and it's just got different composite stories in there, and it can be found on Amazon. It can be found anywhere books are sold, and I actually did record both of them. They're both available on Audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both, I'd love to hear that. I might have to read it myself, because I've loved this whole time we've been doing this has been beautiful, and your mindset and everything that you've been through, and the fact that you can speak on it.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we cannot speak on the things we've been through. But I
try to use my life as an example to help other people, because I want people to be able to look at me and be able to say, okay, so she's okay. And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, but these are the things that I had to do in order to get where I'm going, get where I've been, to achieve the things. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else who wants to do the heavy lifting, who wants to engage and evolve. You have to be willing to evolve. Elevate. And you have to be able, to be accountable. Yes. You got to clean your messes up. You've got to fix what you broke. You got to, stop maladaptive behaviors. You got to stop being manipulative. You got to stop using other people. All of that stuff is going to lying, cheating, stealing.
Small lies. That's my biggest.
It's going to stagnate you. It's going to keep you from your blessings, dude.
Every day. And then, it's like you said, pile earlier. You said pile. They'll just pile, and then you're gonna get 30, and you're gonna be, oh, my back, and I don't want to be too. That's why I've learned to say things in a different way, so that some people don't. It shifts. It does,
and then, but the thing is when you do that, you're setting an example to the people around you, and you're always gonna have haters.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. No.
You're always.
If you don't have haters, then you're not doing.
You're not doing something right.
Yeah, you're not at all.
But understand the reason why you have haters is because they're unhealed. Because you're triggering something in them that makes them feel the shame of what they are trying to avoid.
Right.
And so it's easier to project upon you and to say you're the bad guy.
Right.
You're a dump truck.
Yes,
and,
that's why I was
trying to hold let me protect this over here. Right?
Yeah. And it's sad because like I try to hold myself back, and I'm here to help people, but I'll never I'll never be that one oddball to like come and attack people for that. Because like I said, everybody's going through something.
Absolutely, and I'm not saying keep yourself open to the vindictive nature of haters. I mean, enforce a boundary.
Yeah, right.
You can block people on social media. I block people all the time.
Oh yeah, I do every day. Or
it's just social media, and access to me is a privilege. Okay.
And I appreciate that.
And access to you should be a privilege as well. Right. I feel like it is.
Yeah.
And access to you should be a privilege. But you are the steward of your well-being. So you're in the driver's seat, and it's all up to you on what you allow in. And you can wish someone well, but keep them over there. Mm-hmm. If they're not helping you, if they're not sitting with you, encouraging you to grow, and they're just trying to drag you down, you don't have to have venom for that person. It doesn't have to go anywhere
just
toxic.
Let go.
You just have to shut the door. They're not allowed in. Wish them well. Send good energy, but shut the door.
That's what I do.
Take care of yourself.
Me, I don't have no enemies or nothing, no hate towards anybody, because the hate is only going to make you hate yourself, and you don't want to do that.
Not at all.
But we could sit here and talk. I think I'm definitely about to do an episode. I did self-improvement stuff before interviews.
Yeah.
I did 25 episodes. I did communication, honesty, love. For 25-30 minutes, and it's like a strict thing. So I think me and her are gonna do something together, because
absolutely
I would love for her to be able to speak her mind, and I think it'd be cool to have two different.
I love it. I love what you're doing, man.
Yes, ma'am, and I appreciate that. But I do want to end it off on this.
Okay.
Can you always be yourself? That's the ending question.
Can I always be myself?
When you wake up,
I'm too old to be anybody else.
Don't say that. You can't say that. No.
I am so stuck and honest in who I am. The idea of being anything other than authentic, no.
It would be weird, right?
It's funny because my stage name for karaoke used to be a woman named Lola. I used to introduce myself as Lola.
Lola? Is that like a alter ego?
Just an alter ego, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but she's gone away.
Why? Is it by choice? Or?
By choice, because I quit drinking. I quit I need to be authentic in all aspects.
Positive,
yeah,
which you are, because since I've met you, it's been like I'm really astonished, because I'm
impressed by you and what you're doing with your history and everything that you've been through. You're incredibly focused at your young age. I can learn a lot from you.
And we're gonna learn a lot from each other, because like I said, it's the reason why we met. And we could stay here on the podcast for like 2 hours if we could, but I try to limit how long it is, because people have peanut-sized brains now.
Yeah, so. TikTok era.
Yeah, sadly.
Right.
But again, guys, it's been beautiful. My chair is still broke. Yes, it's been a beautiful honor and a privilege. I can't even speak right now. Privilege to be able to have Alma.
The privilege is mine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with me. I think what it is I'm nervous, and I'm literally nervous because this has just this has been bigger than what I've ever done. Like, I've done so many interviews before, and I felt like every time she said something, it just kind of like replayed in the back of my head, like, this is my life, like everything you just said. And that's kind of why I'm in shambles now. I've also had a long weekend on Folly, but still, it's like...
You're doing great, man.
No, I appreciate that, and I really can't thank you enough, because I'm going to be watching this
my honor.
for a long time. But again, guys, it's been beautiful. It's Alma. I said Alma. Thank you for coming on. It's been a privilege to even be able to have you come talk. But again, remember, stay true to yourself. The only way to achieve your dreams is through you. Nobody else is going to do it. You got to get up every single day, and you got to grind. Even if you're nervous like me. Yes, I'm nervous, but it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. I love you guys. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.